Hi, my name is Jon Ross, and I'm an Emmy-nominated film producer and director from the city of Chicago.
Talk about your pre-production process, the importance of it. What's something that you always do during the process?
Process, it's very detailed. So from documentaries, it's about making sure that you have the research down pat. Make sure that you do a pre-interview with the people that you're documenting, as well as make sure you're paying attention to weather, budget, and all those things, because everything plays a part in really having a successful run when you're trying to film and getting ready for filming.
How is the production process different from doing a narrative to a documentary?
Well, documentaries for me, this is what I found. Documentaries are much more easier to put together because the budget is less, but there's a lot of more research that goes into doing a documentary and a lot more phone calls. But whereas when you're doing a narrative, it's more so on a creative side, being more creative, going back and forth with your writer, and then trying to collaborate ideas. And then when you get to production, it's about collaborating with the director and, with everybody in each department. So whether it's a cinematographer, hair and makeup, all those things plays a part in that. Whereas in documentaries, you're not really dealing with any of that.
How big is your crew usually when you do a documentary?
Depends on the budget. So like on like a big budget of like 60,000, I probably have like 10 people doing that. Smaller budget is probably like 4 people that's doing a documentary with me.
Do you shoot on digital?
Yes, we do. We shoot on the Red Scarlet and we shoot on the Black Magic. And then the documentary got nominated for Emmy. We shot that on the Red Rock 1 about 7 years ago. And I fell in love with the Red camera after that. And so pretty much everything that we've been shooting since then has been either on the Red camera, or then we'll, if we don't want to spend too much money, we'll go down to like a Black Magic or something like that.
Your editing philosophy, do you edit in camera as much as you can, or do you take as many shots as you can and then try and edit it down in post?
Well, what I do is while we're actually shooting, I edit on paper. So I look for the right shots that I really feel like it really works. So when you go into the editing room, we kind of take those shots, that I really, really like, and we put them on a timeline, and then we see if it works at the same time while we're watching all the other outtakes to make sure that I'm not overlooking anything. But that's pretty much how I do. I try to edit while I'm right there on the spot, paying attention to each take, paying attention to each action, paying attention to every little bit small detail. I try to pay attention to, because be involved in the whole editing process, and it kind of makes it a little bit more fun, because it's like playing pieces of the puzzle when you're kind of editing there and then going into the editing room. It's like, wow, I did not see that.
Give us one tip for dealing with documentary subjects and dealing with actors.
Well, yeah, we definitely coach both. Some people, when you're dealing with documentaries, they're already colorful. It means they know how to tell the story, making sure that they understand the value of telling a colorful story. So telling the truth will make sure that you're telling it where people are not falling asleep. Some actors don't understand how to internalize what is, and they're not really taking the time to listen to what's being said. And so you kind of have to direct them and take them on this mental journey of, okay, this is what we're trying to say in this movie.
So give us one tip for staying on a shooting schedule.
For me is, if you can do it today, do it. Don't try to put off tomorrow what you can do today. I always say that while you're shooting a project, just like the actors have to be in character, you have to be in character of a producer. And so that means that you have to really be on point at all times. And you really don't get that much sleep being a producer, especially on smaller projects, because you kind of happen to be a lot of different things. But it's just being in character and staying in character and being available for whatever, and being a part of the process of filmmaking. And that, to me, helps you kind of stay on schedule.
What's one lesson you could pass on to young filmmakers that you learned, and maybe you learned it the hard way in making movies?
Technology is more easier now than it ever has been before. And so if you have a dream of being in the industry and being a filmmaker, use whatever you have to your advantage. So if you have a cell phone, use that as your camera. If you have an iPad, use that as your camera. I mean, and then you have access to, websites like Vimeo, YouTube, Dailymotion, all these places where you can distribute your film. And if you just learn how to use social networking, not for, a popularity contest, but realizing that is your fan base that you can sell to, get your career started off on the right path.
What do you think the indie filmmaking world needs more of?
I think the indie filmmaker world needs more of people that does things with a spirit of excellency. I find it a lot of times, especially when I'm dealing with people that are trying to get me to produce stuff or they want me to come on and use my name, is that they're just happy with the fact that they're able to put something together and they're not able to really see that, some of the stuff they put together is really not that good to everybody. It may be good to them, but it's not that good to everybody. And so what I do is I always try to, do just like what Hollywood does. Is, once I make a film, I have a little bitty small screening, or I'll send it to a film festival that I have a great relationship with, and I'll ask for honest opinions, honest conversations, and honest opinions. And then not being so attached to your baby where you cannot take, constructive criticism.
What's one event in history that you don't think has merely enough movies made about it that you'd like to see more coverage of?
For me, it's the music movement in the 1980s. How you have really, I feel like in the 1980s, this is when we really made progress when it came to race relations. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the music that came out. I remember being, living back then, and you didn't have like what you have like a racially genre of music. So it's like, it wasn't like rock was just for white people or rock was, it was like everybody listened to everything. And even now, that I'm older and we still be listening to stuff. And some of my friends they know music from Police and Genesis. It's like, but that's how things were back then. It wasn't as segregated as it is right now. But I would love to see more movies done about that period of history. And I guess because it's not that long ago, that's why you don't see it that much. But it would be really nice to see more films about that period of history. And, I'm glad you brought that up because I may have to do something. I may have to solve the problem right there.
Yeah, right on. So if you ran a Hollywood studio, what's the first item on your agenda in your first meeting?
First thing on my agenda would be kind of going back to grassroots, which is because Hollywood is really losing a lot of money right now because, they've become so detached from the fan bases they have. So, if you kind of go, and I've seen some filmmakers do this, like with Barbershop 3, they kind of went back to the grassroots of going to each, city and just doing a tour with their film and making sure that people knew that they still cared about their business and cared about them come seeing their film, and it really helped out the sales of that film. And I think that Hollywood kind of needs to return to that and stop becoming so less attached to their fan base. So you can find me on Facebook with the name just Jon Ross, JONROSS, or you can look me up on Instagram, which is Jon_Ross 9914, and you can also look me up on Twitter, which is 12RossJon, JON, remember. And then you can also find me on my website, www.jr2films.com.
Nice. Thank you, sir, so much for doing this.
Oh man, I appreciate you having me.
All right, man. Everybody has these fun stories about being on set. So give us one fun set story that you have.
It will be back to my first movie when I was working with Will Smith on Ali back in 2000. And, it was really cold outside. And, normally, people, main actors, they go back to their trailers and stuff like that, where you set up the next shot. But it was just so happened that this one time it was me, Will Smith, his stand-in, and an actor by the name of Joe Morton. We stayed in a gas station at that time. And, a lot of people didn't notice, but Will Smith really loved Krispy Kremes at the time, Krispy Kreme donut. And so we sat and we ate Krispy Kreme donuts, and we just started talking about his life. And that was one of the most memorable moments I ever had before we were on the set.
Wow, awesome. Michael Mann, man, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That must have been some experience. I've heard he's an amazing, amazing director.
Seeing him at work was one of the greatest joys of my life. And for it to be the first project I ever worked on was just like, wow. I learned a lot from him, just the way that he pays attention to detail. It is insane seeing our focus on making. I love every moment of it.